And in the meantime, there are new questions today about San Diego Mayor Bob Filner and whether some high-powered women on Capitol Hill may have known about his inappropriate behavior when he was in Congress for many years and maybe, perhaps, failed to report it. So far, 14 women have accused the Democrat of harassing and groping them. Unbelievable stories in this case. It dates back to 2003 when Bob Filner was a congressman. So was there a sort of conspiracy of silence around this Democratic congressman to help cover up his alleged activities? That question's been raised by Michelle Malkin, columnist and Fox News contributor. Michelle, welcome. Good to see you here in New York.
Thank you. Live and in person, yes.
I know, it's great. So, you know, I mean, this is the allegations here are so shocking. And then everybody thought he was going to resign. He had a big news conference and stepped forward. Everyone thought he was going to resign, but he said, you know, I'm going to go into rehab, a one-week intensive rehab program to rid myself of these reprehensible behaviors. And then I think he finished early, right? He was like, I'm good to go.
Yeah, insta-perv cure now. If you just wave a magic wand and then he's all cured. What did they subject him to? Grope control classes and slobber control classes? Really, I mean, the details that are now coming out from these women of all classes and all backgrounds. You've got business women, donors, military women who had already been victimized once, victimized again by someone who knew that they had been targeted by sexual predators. And it does raise, I think, a question that has not been asked enough. What did these elite Democratic women on Capitol Hill know about Bob Filner, and when did they know it? This is a 10-term congressman, and you're telling me that no women on Capitol Hill knew what was going on all this time when you're dealing with somebody who was a serial groper and harasser? I think Nancy Pelosi, in particular, has questions to answer because this is somebody who co-founded the Progressive Caucus with Bob Filner, who worked very closely with the man who was chair of the House Veterans Affairs Committee. What did she know, and when did she know it, and why did she cover it up for so long? That's what I want to know.
It's a good question, you know, because when you look at these instances and you read about them, you can't help but think that there's no way that people weren't talking about this. I mean, people know when there's somebody like this in your organization, in your group, and everybody's, you know, ick, right?
Yes.
Icky. So, you know, what's the responsibility? Did she have a responsibility to come forward about it?
Well, a particular responsibility because, of course, these liberal women have led the crusade to paint every last Republican man as the biggest perv and predator on the planet. These are the women who have been foisting the whole narrative of the war on women by conservatives on the rest of the country. And while they were doing that, this was going on. This is not a local crime story. I think that's what's very important here. It has a national aspect to it now, even worse and more sordid because of these women who were in the military, some of them who were seeking help from Bob Filner in his position as House Veterans Affairs Committee chair. And now he's costing the voters of San Diego even more money because he refuses to step down, and now they're having to take steps to do the whole recall because he won't do the right thing.
I think some people just hear the story, you shake your head. How can you hold on to your job and get away with it? Pushing a woman back into a room and, you know, putting your hands where they don't belong in someone's body, and you're allowed to stay.
And your tongue.
As congressman, you're allowed to stay as mayor of San Diego. I mean, you know, really, isn't it incumbent upon the outrage of the constituents to say, no, you're done.
And they are trying to do that now. And remember that before his re-election last fall, you had some anonymous women who were in Congress, who were staffers on Capitol Hill, talking about how everybody called him Filthy Filner or Bobo or all these other kind of names. And again, it behooves the feminists on the left and the Democratic Party to answer these questions about whether they put partisanship above principle.
Yeah, I mean, you really have no credibility on an issue like this to talk about anybody unless you're going to point fingers within your own tent on an issue like this because, you know, it's incumbent upon you.
Yeah, last important point, I think, is to talk about Nancy Pelosi's history of basically providing a Democratic perv protection racket because Bob Filner is not only the only beneficiary of this. She also looked the other way at David Wu until it was, you know, absolutely so much public pressure that she could not look away.
Good point.
And the same thing with Eric Massa and Anthony Weiner.
All right, we got to go. No, Michelle, thank you so much. Good to see you. Think about that, folks. Let me know what you think at Martha McCallum.